Hello, welcome back to another episode of Somewhere Between a Film and TV podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Daniel Parra.
I'm Erwin.
And number one, thank you so much for listening and watching. Number two, what are they going to do?
They're going to like, comment, and subscribe.
Please do. Erwin, what is it that we are reviewing?
Sinners,
the Ryan Coogler directed film. And we're going to get into how big of it. We're a little late. I've seen it already for like a while, but it is a huge box office success right now. Yes. It's like breaking...
but it's not beating Minecraft.
Not yet. I mean, I don't think it would. That's a PG and this is rated R.
We're just hoping it picks up traction, Sinners, and it becomes memed.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it already has. I've already seen some.
Yeah,
there's some about it already. And one of my favorite ones is... We'll get to it, actually.
Yeah.
Everything we review, I don't know if I've said it, already has full spoilers. But before we get into everything, Erwin, what is this about?
Sinners is during the time, was it 1930s or is it earlier?
1933.
1933, and it was post-war?
Yes.
Post-war, and this is all in the South.
Mississippi.
And it's these two brothers. They are known around this. It was just Mississippi, or is it just like
they were known, just generally speaking, because they went to go and work for Al Capone.
Okay.
And when they got back, they had the reputation precedes you. Like,
yes, they have money, their reputation, and they wanted to build a saloon type of, not like a
juke joint,
like a juke joint, and basically they just trying to rile people up for it, get people from like different parts of where they grew up to like build this joint.
Yeah. But
then also living in a world where there's vampires and ghosts.
So
and witches.
All of that stuff. And it's kind of interesting that while they don't fully believe in some of the voodoo stuff, of course, I mean, naturally after this night happens, you would think that they'd probably be like, yeah, that's real.
Yeah.
But this movie is interesting in how it's paced. Now, I want to talk about all of that. I really do. But before we do, because I also want to talk about Ryan Coogler just as a director, generally speaking, with this movie, did you love it? Did you hate it? Or are you somewhere between?
Dude, I loved it.
Yeah?
I feel like it's just been so long since we've seen a movie.
It's been like a whole week.
Okay. Like a movie to this extent.
Yeah.
Like this type of things that's like something that's like original.
Yeah.
And leaves you breathless at the end. Going like, oh my God, I can't believe I just saw something like this before.
Yeah.
And wanting to go see this movie again.
I've seen it twice. I'm going to make a grandiose statement here. I'm going to say it. I very rarely often say this to this caliber. This movie is a masterpiece. It is perfect. It is a wide, gigantic epic in terms of what it is and what it's about. And it reminded me so much. It's funny because like it feels like a line straight from the movie. It's like it evokes feelings of the past and the
future, present. It's insane how they utilize so many like of the themes of the movie.
Yeah,
throughout like a time period too.
And this is just one of those movies. The night I saw it, the crowd like was insane in the best way possible. People clapped. They were cheering by the end of it. It very much felt like one of those.
My theater was silent.
Really?
Yeah, they were just very respectful.
Oh well, I got like the cool version of that, not like the Minecraft version of that, where like somebody's like, "Nah, we cousins." They throw the popcorn at the
cousin. Yeah.
You're like, yeah, you said it.
It's awesome.
And something I understand. I'm gonna complain about this right off the bat because it has nothing to do with the movie. I have no idea why the second trailer chose to ruin the Haley Steinfeld and Michael B. Jordan thing about this.
Yes.
It was a weird choice, and I think they should have just stuck with the teaser trailer and left it at that.
I don't know.
But
at the end, it's just like trailers are trailers. They always want to get people in to watch a movie.
Yeah.
I think they like the idea. I think is what really got me going about this movie was the fact that it was like, oh, Michael B. Jordan, good and bad.
Yeah.
Because we've seen Michael B. Jordan be the antagonist.
And protagonist,
and so the fact that he's playing both and he's just done such a great job in those positions beforehand. I was like, sounds great.
Yeah.
And so seeing that was already amazing on
And
its
it's
own.
absolutely a testament to his performance that you can tell them apart. And yes, they're color coded. One's blue and one's red, which is awesome. Do you have a twin you prefer out of the two? Like, do you like one more than the other?
Which one's Stack? The red one?
Stack is the gold tooth.
Is he the red hat?
Yeah.
Yes, I like
That
Stack.
one?
Yeah.
What I love about his performance so much is one of them is like calculated and not cold but calm, and the other one is like kind of. It's actually interesting that they're very much what their colors are. Like one is kind of the representation of like calm and sort of organized,
Yes.
and the other one's kind of like a sort of a what would you call it? Like kind of waiting to explode, basically.
Yeah, like tempered.
Yeah, he has an undercurrent.
Yeah.
About him, but then they both do. And then watching it twice, there's so many small details within this movie that
Not just between not just the characters that are introduced, but the world itself as well. Because even when it's like it tries to be like historically accurate as well, and like it would just bring up little details about like this other underworld type of thing as well.
No, and something I loved so much about this is it starts off with the horror thing of like something happened the night and like it flashes. And one of the absolute best things about this to me is the introductory stuff, which you don't quite realize, I feel, is like an hour of the movie.
Yeah, I didn't think about that until like, at Alamo when they give your checks and everything. You're like, oh my God, this movie's about to be over already? Yeah. I was like, half this movie was just like setting up everything.
But I think the reason why that's so important is not because they're doing it for exposition purposes. You feel kind of... It's the absolute best way you can do this if you're going to be kind of guided through the characters that you're following, that they themselves haven't been there in a really long time. So you're getting acquainted with them while they're getting reacquainted with them. And it's the moment the vampire stuff actually starts happening, the reason why you care is because, I'm like, I just spent a whole lot of time learning about them. Yeah. So obviously, the moment that everything just explodes, you're very invested. Yes. And I think that this movie is about so much, and I think that it's cool that we're kind of seeing it a little bit, or reviewing it a little bit late, and the reason for that is because I've read so much about Ryan Coogler's extensive talking about it, and one of his things about this was that he was like, honestly, this just is like a very kind of familial feeling thing to me. It's like I wrote it, and it's kind of inspired by my uncle, I think he said in the letter for it.
I thought it was his grandpa.
Or grandpa, is what it was. And it has so much to do with music. Yes. And it's vital that we talk about this because there's a moment in this movie, it's in the middle of the movie. But before we talk about it, because that's going to be something that people write papers on.
Dude, that moment alone.
Yeah. But before that, the music in this is Miles Caton.
Miles Caton?
He is the one that plays Sammy.
Oh.
What did you think of all of that?
Oh, his performance?
His performance and the music.
Voice. Amazing.
Yeah.
I did not... For somebody who's like, it's his first time ever like acting type of thing, or like just having a big role like that, is insane. He does a great job of just like us, like him being like the audience in a way, like him like just having a passion for this, like what he believes in, and still holding on to that at the very end. Yeah.
I would try to argue he's the main character, but I feel like there's a lot of main characters in this. This movie's 220, and somehow, some way,
it went by. It went by
so incredibly fast. And even just when there's not a lot going on, but I mean, it always feels like there's a constant momentum. But even if they're just kind of putting people together, it sits in a moment. Yeah. And this movie is gorgeous. It's so beautiful. It was shot on 70mm film. It looks incredible. There's a great 10-minute breakdown from Ryan Coogler on Kodak that I watched earlier on. It's phenomenal the way he breaks it down. And this is, again, blockbusters have lately felt like kind of flat. This feels lived in, and there's so many different shots where you're like, oh my God. Yeah. Like one alone is... I mean, it's the very end of the movie, but where he's like, that's the last time I saw the sun. Oh. And then the last time I saw my brother. And it's just the sun, like, peeking upwards. Or it felt very old school filmmaking, because there's a moment, it felt straight out of, like, 90s kind of, where Merrick is his name. I looked it up. I think Jack O'Connell, the actor.
Oh, yes.
Where he's kind of introduced as a vampire, says, "Don't worry, he's just resting," and then
Yeah.
the electric guitar like strums down, and then you see the moon, and then it fades. That felt like so old school, kind of someone who very, very clearly loves what they're making.
Yeah, he
And what they're-
like he definitely knows his craft and
Yeah.
loves it too at the same time.
And that's a testament to, with Ryan Coogler's movies. Before we like really dig into this one,
Yeah.
what do you think of them, just generally speaking?
I've seen all of them and I love them.
Yeah.
I love all of them.
All of them are,
Yes.
I would argue, all of them are perfect.
Yeah.
I think that I honestly can't think of one that, like, I couldn't give you a least favorite. Like, they're all so,
They're all good in their own unique
Yeah.
ways.
even when they're blockbusters, they're still humane.
Yes.
I love Wakanda Forever, like
Yeah.
a lot.
I definitely want to see that movie again because I remember
Yeah,
loving it.
yeah,
But I think what he does such a great job in, especially when it comes to movies where he introduces so many characters, they definitely feel unique in their own scenes.
yeah.
And which I love.
One of the best things about this is, I mean, it is a horror movie. It's marketed under that, and I'm not going to argue against that because it is.
Yeah.
But it felt to me like it was kind of paced like Jurassic Park, actually.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. But did you get that at all out of it?
I could see
'Cause-
that, especially
yeah.
like just the setting up towards it, and then the last half was just mayhem.
Yeah, that's like when
Yes.
everything's just everywhere, and then people are making choices that they probably shouldn't, and then
Yes.
it obviously is homaging the Thing as well when they don't trust each other,
Mhm.
and. But before like the vampire stuff itself, because this movie's about a lot. There's a lot of
Yes.
themes. It, in the best way possible, is one of those movies where it is about a lot, but then it's also a pure blockbuster at the end of the day.
Yes.
And one of its biggest components is music.
Yes.
And I feel like that's scored very early on by Delroy Lindo's character in the moment when he's in the car talking about the entire thing that had happened with they'd formed a band,
Yes.
and he was like, he did the dumb thing, he took all of his money out at once, and then you can hear the kind of audio in the background of the story he's telling. It's a brilliant way to show it without actually showing it, just hearing it while he's telling that story. And then once it's over, it's obviously impacted him, and blues music is kind of known for this sort of pain behind it, and that's the music here in the first place. And so once he kind of transitions into it, I think that it keeps echoing. Like, that's literally the point,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And what did you think of that?
I thought it was great. The last couple of years, in terms of like me like listening to music and just appreciating music more and more so, and in this movie, I think for someone who doesn't just like, there's people who like casually listen to music, and then there's people who actually like think music is so much more than just pressing play
Yeah.
on just your Spotify or Apple Music.
Yeah.
And just seeing how it just really translates through people, not just like through your day-to-day basis, but like through like a soul type of experience. And you can definitely feel that in this movie, especially since the people who play the music itself and they showcase it.
So me personally, I'm annoying, right? So like,
Yes, I know that. Wait, why?
Because genuinely speaking,
Yes.
I know that with music, that yeah, sure, pop. Like I love pop music. I love anything that's also surface level. But there's also like there's a craft to that as well. I'm not going to deny that. I'm not one of those people that thinks that just because something's kind of bubble gum doesn't mean there's no talent behind it. Quite literally the opposite. Actually, it's hard to make entertaining music, but then there's this sort of wordy, kind of intentionally emotional type of storytelling music that blues is known for. And I feel like, I know that Ryan Coogler himself said that this movie, the way it was paced, was inspired by Metallica's One. It's a great song, and back when I used to play guitar, I remember I memorized it because it's really fun to play.
Yeah.
But how it starts off is it music wants emotion out of you.
Yeah.
That's why whenever, let's say, you work out hard to, I don't know, bet on it.
Why'd you call me out like that?
I do it too.
To bet on it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mine was Gotta Go My Own Way.
That's a good song too. But let's say, I don't know, you look up hardcore rap playlist, or it's like 180
hardcore Sigma Alpha male
Yeah.
gym playlist,
And then it's
makes
like-
you get bigger testosterone.
Yeah, no, exactly. And then it's a
Big testes.
it's a guy like looking at himself and like the wolf is reflecting back.
No, it's like him wearing a wolf mask and he's just like this.
It's like an actual picture.
Yeah.
This is the furry Erwin.
Oh yeah, I forgot those things exist.
Yeah. But the reason why I bring that up is because the movie itself is also kind of reflecting and asking you to like, okay, we're going to put you in an emotional state and we want you to go along for this ride, which is underscored to me by this moment. It's the best moment in the movie. It's in like right dead in the middle.
Yes.
And you know what? It has nothing to do with vampires.
No.
And it's the moment where it's a key thing that they keep saying. They're like, a voice can be so beautiful that it transcends space and time and can break the barriers. And there's something
That's
so
good.
poetic about
Yes.
that. And then the moment where it goes through the entirety of history
Yes.
of the music that they've experienced or will experience. It panned all throughout one shot because Ryan Coogler loves doing that. He's been doing it since Creed.
Yeah.
And it's funny because we were joking about it taking months to stage something to film. This
Yeah.
took months to stage the film.
Yeah.
And especially because it's shot on like a gigantic IMAX camera. How he maneuvered it, no clue, because that thing's heavy as hell.
Yeah.
But seeing it all coalesce into one just gigantic thing for I don't know how many minutes is transcendent, quite literally. Like, it's one of those movie moments, I think, where I'm not going to forget it anytime soon.
It kind of reminded me how I felt whenever I watched Babylon.
Oh,
In a
yeah.
way, but like, but this one in theaters.
Yeah. That beginning
Yeah.
part where it's like so chaotic and all over the place.
Yeah. But it's just so beautiful. But that scene alone, I just remember watching it and my jaw dropped because I just didn't expect to see something like that, especially in this movie.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was going to be one of those straight to forward, like, horror, but I hear it's a great movie. So I'm like, oh, cool. I can't wait to see what he does with this.
Yeah.
Especially with the vampires. That scene alone had nothing to do with it, like you said.
I know.
But it left me with such an impact. And knowing that he cared so much about, like, the music culture itself, and like seeing how it affected like from the past, present, and future.
Yeah.
And just not just through like culture, through like one type of like race, but through every other race too.
Yeah.
And that's where I was just like, wow, this is amazing.
It's such a wild swing to do too, because creatively there's another world where we're saying it's a good idea.
Yes.
But however, this is that level of craft and creation where it's just one of those moments where, like, I want to go to the theater again just to see this, just to see that moment. I mean, there's so many moments in, like, the latter half of the movie, though, where you're like, God, I just want to see that part again or that part. And I think what's, credit where credit's due, the first half is also so entertaining as well, because at that point, it's a period piece. It's about two brothers who come back from war and come back from Chicago and are just getting familiar with the lives that they left behind. And all that stuff was very interesting as well, because what I really liked about this is I know that there's all this discourse about sex scenes and stuff right now, but I think that the relationships are so vital to this movie, and the way that vampires have always been a kind of seductive nature in the first place. We talked about it with Nosferatu, that it actually becomes kind of weaponized at a point later on.
Yes.
And I think all that stuff's really great. But before we get into that, what do you think of the kind of the core relationships in this movie?
In this movie, I thought it was done very well.
Yeah.
Because you get to see like their vulnerable side, especially with the brothers. And so utilizing that type of relationship to showcase like what their true intentions are. Yeah. With more so than just with power and money. Yeah. Because that's what they kept talking about. Especially like that's like the front towards everybody. Like that's what they're very known for through their reputation and everything. So Ryan Coogler utilizing like those type like relationships definitely helped. Yeah. More so with us, like to connect with them.
Well, then you also learn kind of immediately because they're presented in a certain way in the first opening moments, right? Yes. The way everybody interacts with them, where like the preacher kind of is talking to them and he stares at them in a certain way. He's like, "Oh, don't worry, we'll get him back." I mean, he's the only guy that comes back, but yeah. And then you see how one of them interacts with, I believe it's Smoke, where I could be wrong. Where he gives the girl he's like kind of telling her how to barter or like how to get more money out of.
Oh, wasn't it Stacks? No, it was.
I'm
No, it was
blanking.
Smoke. It was Smoke.
Okay.
It was Smoke. Yes,
And
because it was him that was at with the Asian couple.
yeah.
Yes.
So that's how you know that they're like, that's kind of their real intention. I mean, don't get me wrong, they will shoot people, and they do.
Yeah.
And I love that moment so much where he's like, I don't want you to be known as the guy who almost got away with robbing me without something to show for it. It's brilliant. And I like that kind of humor where it sort of plays as like, right after he's like, he needs help.
Yeah.
That's great, because it reminded me so much of something out of like those period pieces where mob bosses and stuff do act like that. They're like kind of, for the people, and they're like nice, but to an extent.
Yeah.
And then alongside all of that, just going back into another one of this movie's themes, what did you think of Jack O'Connell's character, the villain?
I thought that was a great villain. Ryan Coogler does such a great job. And of course, like having like the antagonist have like such a presence in his movies, but I think I just want to know more about like him becoming, because I know I read about this a little bit, but I can't remember what it was, but something about Jack O'Connell like being Irish.
Yeah.
And like how that hadn't, like there was like an issue right there, him talking about that whenever they were just trying to get into the building itself, and like him saying like he's Irish.
So there's a lot of history behind that. There's so towards the end of the movie, when he starts praying in front of him, and he repeats the words back to him. He's like, those words were forced on me. He's like, but they still bring me a comfort. That was back whenever it was during a certain time where he was alive, where they were kind of forced the religion onto them. Yeah. And so him repeating it back, it's kind of this sort of thing where he's sort of weaponizing what he'd been through also to try and pull them into the whole fellowship and love idea, where he kind of weaponizes the thing that's important to them for his own gain. But that's what makes his character so interesting, is you know exactly what he's doing and why, but then you're also kind of like, but he does have a reason for it. And then you would argue, though, that there's this idea, it's called cultural vampirism, and then the idea of just sort of stealing other people's culture as well. Like, that's obviously part of what this movie's about.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that they say that they know what each other like, what they like and don't like, and what their previous memories are and their experiences and everything, and how they all collectively know about it with one another.
I love vampire stuff, and
that moment alone, I was like, that's crazy.
Yeah, because that whole thing about like the hive mind, I think that's like a kind of newer concept. What I really, really loved and respected about this, though, is they didn't try to break any sort of rules with how vampires work. There are stakes, there's garlic, there's like all that stuff, and I'm just grateful that it's back to, there's no logical explanation for why vampires exist. There does not need to be. No. They are just there, and you accept it, and that's it. Like, there's that's not part of the story here. That's not what's going on. And the entire sort of thing itself, the setup, I want to ask you, sort of like, because it is 3 acts. It's the first act is them basically setting everything up. The second act, I would argue, is like the whole party sequence. And the third act is the vampire stuff. With the second act, did you like everything that had to do with the actual like juke joint stuff itself?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I think because that separately alone would have been such an interesting thing that, like, if they kept expanding
that could have just been a movie, like, all on its own, really.
And I think this because without the vampire stuff, you took that all away right away. Just everything else alone, it would have been already fascinating and interesting to see, just because of the writing and like the characters that were introduced, because you were just already excited to hear more about them and like how they're being, like how they want to build up like their own futures in that world.
No, and then one of the things I thought was really interesting that they talk about has to do with how they kind of pull them aside. They're like, within 2 months we will be out of money because. But what makes this movie feel so substantial, like I said, is all the small stuff. Like, there's a moment kind of where it's towards the end, but one thing you notice is that one brother kind of can't really operate without the other. There's a moment where, if you notice, Smoke is constantly smoking, but he doesn't know how to roll a cigarette, like towards the end of it. But you know who did, though, is Stack, his brother. Yeah, so towards
and you see that in the beginning of the movie?
Yeah. And then he also, I noticed this just based off of a second viewing. If he's not with him, his hands are shaking.
Mm-hmm.
But when he is, they're not as much,
Oh.
which is really fascinating
Yeah.
because it's just like Ryan Coogler, and Michael B. Jordan is such a great actor that you're like, they obviously like sat down and they worked on like literally every single
like all
detail.
the mannerisms and everything.
Yeah. Like this is a movie where the reason why it's going to be impactful and important for so many years to come, I think, is because it does have that iconic character thing in it. Like I can name the characters that are in this pretty easily, where I also love that Smoke and Stack, you do learn their real names. I believe it's Elias and Elijah.
Yeah.
And
I like the subtleness of learning about their backstory too, how they were raised by Haley Steinfeld's character mom.
Yeah.
At one point too, and like how there was a connection through that as well. Like I just like that kind of stuff when it comes to storytelling, or like expanding through characters as well, and not like giving like a whole speech or like exposition type of thing, or actually like going through like a montage.
No, there's not
well.
a single flashback in this movie aside from like the beginning part where it does the flash back, but like we haven't seen it yet. But it's very, very quick. And something I thought was really interesting, made the world feel huge immediately, is with the Native American group comes in.
Yes, that's so true.
Really early on, they're like, "Have you seen this guy?" And they're like, "No." And they're like, "Be careful." And then they do not show back up.
And then they leave right away. Ugh.
Which kind of tells you that I'm not saying that that's setting up a world. I don't necessarily want that. But the only way in which I would is if Ryan Coogler said, I have a really good idea for Sinners 2.
Yeah, but it's just the way he also said, too, where he didn't even plan on making a sequel or anything. He just wanted to make a good movie.
And that's kind of... He said that he'd been in the studio mindset for so long.
Yeah.
That he was like, I kind of just want to make this, like, I wanted to have everything, is what he said. I want to have, like, the potatoes, the steak, and dessert all in one.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because this...
I keep those things separate.
Steak and potatoes?
And dessert, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't put it all in one plate.
No, I mean...
Oh.
That's not what he's saying.
Oh, that's what you said.
That's what he said in an interview.
Oh.
But he was saying, like, he wants you to be able to have fun and, like, the literal meat of something as well in a movie.
Juicy.
And, yeah, exactly. And... which this movie has a lot to sink your teeth into about it. And speaking of the vampire stuff itself, what'd you think of it?
That was okay, dude. The sink your teeth.
Dude, just give me the...
Yeah. I was like, I don't know.
I wasn't trying to like...
The vampire stuff?
Yeah.
Dude, it was great.
Yeah.
I liked what you said, though, too. It's like bringing back all the things that we all know about vampires, but then introducing like little things like the hive. Mind thing. I really enjoyed that. I like the fact that I don't know if it was just the main one that can fly. That was pretty cool. Like that was a cool tease to see. That was really nice.
Like I don't know if they turn into bats or anything, but
my favorite segment though out of the entire thing with the vampires was the fact that they can only come inside when they were asked to come inside.
It's brilliant.
That was that was
really,
utilized
really
so well. And then it's insane how super polite they are. Yeah. Like when I saw that one, the Asian's, the husband. Yeah. How he's like, "All right, honey, the car's ready." Oh yeah. And he's like, and she's freaking out, saying like, "Are you not seeing this? Are you not freaking out?"
Cornbread is his name. Yeah. It was like eating something. He's like, oh, he's just hungry. He's just like, her face is really, really. That's great acting. Where you're like, okay, obviously there's something wrong with that guy. Yeah. And I love all that stuff. I love that almost immediately. The characters in this are really smart, by the way. Yeah. One just kind of acts out of like getting really mad, and that's why the ending happens in the first place.
Oh, the lady? The Asian lady? Yeah. I think it's because like she was worried about her daughter for sure. And especially because once she found out that they all have a hive mind type of thing, they know what they like, don't like.
Yeah, because they start speaking the language, their like native language.
Oh, yeah, that was insane. When that moment happened, I was like, what?
Is like the look that she gives, she's like, what? Yeah. And that stuff is so brilliant. Like that's just great writing is what that is. And I love that the character is instantly like, because she Smoke's not wife but former love is instantly like, why are you asking if you can be let in, like almost immediately. And I think that's really great because it doesn't let the characters, because the audience, if you're acquainted with the vampire lore at all, which let's face it, a lot of people should be. I'm not saying that you should like.
I mean, if you've seen all of Hotel Transylvania, then yeah.
I've seen all of Interview with the Vampire, and that show is awesome.
You did? You seen the entire show?
Oh, it's amazing, by the way.
Nice. Wait, the newest one?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I mean, it's only 2 seasons so far,
Oh.
but like having watched that and this also,
Yeah.
they do have a similar kind of DNA in
Oh.
that they're sort of period pieces about like that one. The first season though is set in New Orleans, and while this this movie is set in Mississippi, it was shot in New Orleans.
Oh.
And so they kind of have like a visual, not similarity, but like there is obviously some certain stuff that's kind of like, okay, cool. Where I just love vampire lore, I think. Like all that stuff when it's executed well is just kind of brilliant.
I love all that mythology.
Yeah.
It's always fun to like explore that.
And something I would argue is very important here, like you said, the niceties that they have. A core piece of vampires is seduction.
Yes.
And so, typically I would joke about this. I would say this looked like this, but I did think this was on purpose. Mm-hmm. When the vampires drool, does it not look like...
Yeah, because I think
it looks like cum, guys. But
yes. I think somebody made a joke about that, like a meme or some sort.
Yeah.
Of like Haley Seinfeld having it right there. Yeah. And I was just like, oh my god, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And especially because like you would see it so often with like the other vampires around it too.
Yeah.
So.
It made me wonder, I'm like, is there a certain visual kind of motif reason for that? Mm-hmm. Or is it just that we know that vampires are intentionally kind of... There are natures to them that's naturally sexual because it's supposed to be about desire and kind of being, not deceived, but like I said, sort of lured and brought into. And that's kind of what I like so much about how they say it takes a piece of their soul, right?
Yes.
But then it sort of changes where they change in a certain way. Like Michael B. Jordan's character kind of is like still talking like Stack and his sort of they call him a smooth talker in this. Like they say that he's more it's Smoke that says something along the lines of like, I don't know how to talk smooth or something like that. He's like, but you do. He's like, but I do know business.
Yeah.
And so whenever he's trying to smooth talk them earlier on, when he does that reference to The Shining also, which is pretty awesome. And that's like a whole other thing as well. But with all that stuff, I think also like the hive mind stuff is super cool. But something I found really kind of deeply moving about this is the whole thing about having a lost kid. And I love how that was resolved as well. Yeah. It's kind of funny because the third act happens and it's crazy, right? Like I feel like it.
I think this became like the thing that we all expected from the trailer when the third act happens.
Yeah.
But what I didn't expect of how much like music itself had an impact and how much it correlated to the whole vampire is just because with like Jack O'Connell's character, how he truly wanted to have him what's his actor's name? The guy that sings.
Miles Caton.
Miles Caton's character, just because like he himself even recognizes like that voice is something that can resonate with so many people that he wanted that specifically.
No, and something interesting about him is not Miles Caton, but the villain is that he was like that voice. He's like, I just need you, and he's like, I just want to see some people I haven't seen in like such a long time.
Yeah,
and part of me was wondering, I'm like, does it work like that? I'm like, because we know as the audience that they're experiencing past, present, future all at once.
Yes.
Do they know that? And then I know that Coogler was saying, he was like, the reason for that is like, have you ever had an experience so kind of otherworldly that you feel like someone else is in the room with you? And I thought that was such a brilliant inspiration for an idea like that. But this movie is also a lot about kind of taking pain and either creating something out of it or moving on from it.
Yeah.
Which is why we're introduced to characters that at that point have run away from their past. Where Michael B. Jordan, and people keep saying Michael A. Jordan, Michael B. Jordan.
That's funny. That's funny.
I didn't come up with that.
Okay, but like I wish I saw that somewhere else. Yeah, that's good. And Michael B. Michael H. It's like The Rock and Dwayne Johnson.
Oh yeah, that's two different people. And they were talking about how like one of them was obviously they left their lives behind, and one I feel kind of had more of a pain behind it than the other one. Haley Steinfeld was just kind of like, what the hell about it. And something I really loved was I didn't know that after the third act would wrap up that there would be essentially another third act where it was like the stuff with Michael B. Jordan. Stuff's amazing.
Yes.
What did you think of that specifically?
I thought it was very emotional in my eyes, just because that it really showcased that he couldn't live without his brother, like you said.
Yeah.
Just because there was such a tight net thing, and it's him seeing like him becoming and like doing that type of stuff, and then at the very end, like the cigarette, too, seeing that happen. It's just, I don't know. It's just very sad to see that he can't live a world without his brother, because he just grew up with his brother so throughout his life and doing everything with him. It's, I don't know. It was just, I just didn't expect that, because I knew like where's that scene gonna happen?
Oh, in the trailer.
Yeah.
I kept wondering too. I'm like, I thought I was like, it's gonna like. Wait a minute. They can't be in the sun.
Yeah.
So,
No, this doesn't make sense.
Unless they have. Well, that's from Blade Daywalkers.
Oh.
But what's so great about that is you do get an emotional resolution. This movie's a miracle in so many ways, and it's the fact that they tie up literally everything somehow that they do introduce in a phenomenal way, and you end up getting even like more satisfaction, not just the vampires, but then he kills all the Klansmen and stuff, and you hear that sort of. I know that sometimes you have a problem with this, but I have a feeling you don't, especially if it's just executed right. If you're shown a scene again from earlier, but then it ties, because he says, if you or any of the clan people step 1 foot on this, I will kill all of you, and that's foreshadowing in the best sense of the way possible, because the guy says, well, the clan doesn't exist anymore. Turns out he's the head of all of them. So when he does kill all of them, I thought that was awesome.
I think in this, like what you said, like I think they did it right though, just because of the fact that I didn't think it was gonna be something that would happen later on. I thought it was like just showcase. It was just more so like, oh, remember, like this is the, the year, or like like the year that everyone like they're living in. Yeah. Right. Like Klansmen are still around, like they're around and everything around this time, and also it's just like reminding the audience of like the time period more so. But I can see why it would be brought back in that way.
No, and that's part of what's brilliant about it. Like,
just
I really like,
since like so much happened throughout the movie too.
It's because, to me, the movie could have gone like a cheaper route of making it about just like the Klansmen being vampires or something. Yeah. And that would have been. I mean, it would have been like a decent movie, I bet. Yeah. But I think going the route of more exploring other things. Yeah. Like we complain about movies kind of being made about that time period too much. Yeah. Because there are too many of them. Yeah. And this one, though, feels so distinct and different because it is distinct and different. Genuinely, you said that our friend Jack said what about this movie?
He says that he's never seen something like this before. Yeah. And I think, especially for a guy that's probably seen
like maybe 30 movies total.
30 movies, yeah, I would say. he was just like mind blown. Yeah. By it, especially since it's like one of those things where you would probably keep thinking about on a daily basis, just because it's something that, in terms of like its themes and like how they utilize just music on its own on another level.
Yeah. And I will say, I don't know how many movies I've seen total in my life. I know at least over 2,000. And I
almost
also
1,000. Huh? Probably 1,000.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I also, point being said, like no matter how many we've seen, I also haven't seen anything quite like this either.
I have not.
And I think that's part of what makes it so special. And are you about to get an influx of a bunch of vampire stuff? Probably. But what's wrong with that?
I'm just hoping that, we're getting that one with that werewolf one with, what's his name?
Robert Eggers?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know, and he just made a vampire movie too. That one's great. But this is so really gorgeous in every sense of the word. Even when it's taking the quieter moments, it's still like elegant to look at. I really wish I could see it in the Dallas 70mm IMAX. But it's not quite an action movie, but it does really have action beats in it. Yeah. If you were to describe it in the genre category, you would put Western horror drama action. So it's kind of like,
I would probably say Western for sure. Yeah. And then I'd probably just say
Western horror?
I really action horror. I would just say action horror.
Because it is, I mean, it is a Western, kind of. Yeah. I don't know. It's hard to argue, especially, like, it reminded me of back when Parasite came out. Nobody knew how to categorize that. It was,
like, everywhere.
Yeah. Same thing.
Great movie.
Great movie. This is a really incredible movie. Yes. I'm going to ask you a question before we wrap things up. Do you have any negatives?
No. I can't think of any negatives. Do you have any negatives?
No.
Yeah. I was like, what?
One thing in the negative, I just want to talk about more of the movie. But the end credit scene is so fucking good.
Dude, I think it just because it showcases so much like their bond, like the brothers.
Yeah.
How even like through like afterlife, they still it's still well connected to one
There's
another.
something so bittersweet about it too, where Sammy's talking about how, by the way, he named that after the girl that he loves for like a night.
Yeah.
And nice.
Hey, I get it.
Oh yeah.
I get it, man. You're thinking about it.
No. But because there's a really great scene about
Watch the movie, guys.
yeah,
Watch the movie.
where she's like, I walked all the way here. He's like, I don't care. And you're like,
dude, the way. Yeah.
Hell yeah, man.
Also, I was looking up the word.
Really? You didn't know it. I knew it.
Yeah, but I didn't know there was photos.
Do you want me to say it?
No. Yeah, go ahead. Say it.
Actually, I don't know if it'll get taken down. Whatever.
Okay.
But I thought the ending was so bittersweet with him, where he said something along the lines of, he's like, for a few hours there, we were really free. And he was like, that is maybe the happiest day of my life. And I was just like, there's something really elegant and beautiful about that, because it does recontextualize part of the movie, because you're like, yes, it's very fun for us, the audience, but you're like, you end up developing this kind of empathy with all of these people by the time it's over, because they do all end up sort of dying. And like I said, it's just a magic trick that you end up caring a lot when it happens.
Yeah.
One of my favorite moments also was where they kind of kick that guy out without realizing he's not a vampire, and he kind of just dies for no reason. I love it. But yeah, I mean, that's about. You have anything else to say?
No, I think we said everything we could.
This movie's brilliant. It is, again, a masterpiece.
Yes,
at the
guys,
end,
please watch it.
At the end of the year, I mean,
dude, I'm guessing it's gonna get nominated for like 2 things. I just don't, and it will be like
watch
music.
Oh yeah,
it'll be music for sure, and like probably with something with sound.
Even though this should have director, best performance, best cinematography, literally everything.
What would you put for best performances for Michael B. Jordan? Just like those two. They're 2 different characters.
No, I would put Michael B. Jordan. No, they would just be Michael B. Jordan. They're like, Michael B. Jordan has Stack.
Like, what about Smoke?
That'd be kind of a funny argument to have.
Oh, that'd be a good one though.
I mean, because you're like, which one's the better performance? Like, dude, they're the same guy.
That's why it makes it so funny. The same guy.
I saw a tweet that was like, I can't wait that some kid's probably watching Sinners right now is going to think that Michael B. Jordan has a twin the same way I thought Lindsay Lohan had a twin.
Me too. I thought the same thing.
I had the same thing. Also, I cannot wait for a conspiracy video 20 years from now, like how they did with that. We're like, did you guys know that Lindsay Lohan was cloned and they are currently hiding her current clone for the movie The Parent Trap?
I believe that. For the second Parent Trap
I think
movie?
they did that for this too. Watch, Michael B. Jordan's going to be in some really terrible movie. Like, which Michael B. Jordan from Sinners do you guys think that this is? Michael A. Jordan or Michael B. Jordan?
No, guys, this is Michael A. Jordan, okay? Not Michael B.
Michael A. Jordan's the one that did Fantastic Four.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so what did you guys think of Sinners?
Dude, Michael B. Jordan's so funny.
That's pretty funny,
That's good.
We really want to know. And what are they going to do?
They're going to like, comment, and subscribe.
Please do. What's up next?
Oh, guys, wait. We give this 5 stars.
Oh, yeah. Oh, fuck.
Right.
5 stars. I feel like I was just like, it's a given. What would you give this?
A 5 out of 5.
Okay, 5 out of 5.
Yes.
It's a given, guys. I mean, come on.
Well, like, comment, and subscribe.
Please do. What's up next?
I don't know. What is?
You don't know?
Is it Thunderbolts?
No, that's May 2nd.
Oh, nuggets.
We've got 2 things.
Yes.
Until Dawn, which I've heard is bad.
What?
And
bro, that sucks.
I know.
The concept was so good.
I've also heard. We'll talk about it from what I understand. And The Accountant 2?
I can't watch Until Dawn by myself.
Okay.
Huh?
The Accountant 2?
Okay.
Which I've heard is great.
Oh, yes! Let's go!
So, this is kind of funny because that trailer looks nothing like the first one.
No.
It was a cool trailer.
Yeah.
But
I did like the first one, though.
Yeah, I love that first movie.
First
I watched it a lot. I saw it like 3 times in theaters.
You did?
I do not know why, but like,
I've only seen it once.
I remember thinking it was awesome. And then I've heard the second one is just like not like the first one, but in like a good way.
Oh.
So
I'm eager to watch that now.
Yeah. Again, what did you guys think of Sinners? It was really incredible to us. But thank you guys again so much for listening and watching. We will see you next time.